Yay! Yay! I think we're ready to start. Can probably just cut out everything before that. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, yeah. Hi, I'm Shravani, one of Natalie's friends. What else
That's
should I
it.
say? This is
I guess that's all they need to
horrible.
know. So
You should like, comment, and subscribe if you want more.
right, right. If we should get Shrav back on the
Yes.
channel. The book that we read over the past couple of months was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Shrav, tell us about how you were feeling going into this book.
Honestly, I had no idea what to expect because you said that it was like an omegaverse book, and I was like, what is that? And I tried to look it up, and I honestly could not get a clear answer. So all I knew it was about like a werewolf and a vampire, which seemed very like Twilight to me. So that's all I knew. That's all I knew.
I think that
Yeah.
typically vampires are not featured in Omegaverse, is my understanding.
Mm.
So this is a little bit odd in the Omegaverse. But yeah, I don't know too much about it either, but I know that I feel like I've heard that it has origins in supernatural fan fiction, which is just like
Mm.
such a interesting pop culture time. But I
Yeah.
didn't really see a whole lot of like influence of that in this book. Um, I feel like it's. I feel like it's. I feel like it's usually gay. I don't want to offend anybody,
Yeah, I
but I
would
feel like it's
agree.
usually gay. It's like usually men. Is it less progressive to have
Yeah, I mean,
it be heterosexual?
yeah, a little bit regressive.
A little bit regressive. So I was thinking we could just kind of like go through the plot and talk about like what we felt and what we were thinking as it was going on. It begins with the prologue, which is their wedding, and how are we feeling?
Honestly, it took me a while. Like, I think we read the first few chapters together, and it definitely took me a while to figure out what was going on. I was a little bit lost, because there was just like too many words being used to describe like so much, and they were already just like throwing us into the deep end. I felt it was not like a slow introduction. It was just like a lot happening.
You described it really well when we read like the prologue together. You said that the writing was very maximalist, and I thought that was like so astute. It was just
So
like
much. It's so
there was just like
nice.
a lot of words and like not that much is being conveyed, but like
Yeah.
it's just like a lot of background information all at once. So yeah, it definitely like took me a second to kind of get my footing. We start with the wedding, but then chapter one like goes back in time a couple
Yeah.
weeks, and so we start with like her at her human job, um, with her like human life, and we get. I just like wrote in my notes. I just wrote like just info dump. We just get like a lot of information about like her life. Um, very quickly, and like she gets taken away from the human world to go back to her dad who's mean to her, um, and we learn about like the different territories, and that she was a collateral, which is like they send the babies the children from the vampires and humans, and they like do a baby exchange, um, for a little while, and like that was her. And so we just like get a lot of background information about like the world very quickly. It wasn't very natural the way that this
Yeah.
like information was being conveyed. Just like especially because like when she's talking to her dad and she's talking about how like he tells her like, oh well, as you know, like the collateral is blah blah blah, and she's like, yeah, I do know that. It's like, then why are you explaining it to
I
each
also
other?
felt like, yeah, there was a lot of information in the beginning, and then not much later on, which made it hard to remember like what had already been said, and it was making the later chapters a little bit confusing for me.
Yeah, I agree with that because like we get so much world building in the beginning, but then we don't really get like any world building after that. And I feel like
Yeah.
some of it is like a little bit contradictory, but we can get into it a little bit later.
Yeah.
It's just like it made the world like a little bit. It felt like both too much and also too little. Like it was too much information, but it also wasn't about the right things maybe, so like it still
Yeah.
didn't totally feel like a completely realized world, but it was a lot of information. One of my like big notes that I just noticed like very quickly, and part of this was because I was listening to the audiobook and the narrator was so annoying.
Yeah,
But
I know. I
like
noticed that too.
the free audiobook on Spotify, the narrator was
Yeah.
so annoying. But I felt like the writing was super millennial. Like and that just like
Yes.
hit me all at once, like somewhere around like chapter, I don't know, 4 or something. I was like, this
Yeah.
book is so millennial. And I think that part of it was
Yeah.
the delivery from the narrator. It was just like she
Yeah.
was like the inflection that she was using and just like the way that she delivered like the humor came across as so millennial to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It made like Misery more annoying that I think she would have seemed if I just read it.
Yeah, I forgot her name
Yeah.
was Misery.
Yeah.
I kept forgetting that, and then they would say it, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. I can't believe.
That's pretty embarrassing. Also, her brother has a normal name. Her brother's
I know,
name's
like
Owen.
Owen. What the fuck? Oh, am I allowed to curse? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Let's get back to the plot so we
Oh,
can
yes,
get
yes,
through this.
yes.
Okay, so her dad tells her that there's gonna be a wedding between a vampire and a werewolf. And oh, sorry, that's not what we call them in this universe. Shit, a vampire with a Y and a were, and
Where?
it's so embarrassing to say out loud. Like, no, I don't want to get married. I don't want to do it. Until he tells her that it's with I like can't deliver this with a straight face. That it's with the new alpha. And his name is Lo Moreland. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll marry him. And at first we don't know why, but we find out why in like the next chapter. And it's
Yeah.
because her friend Serena, who has recently gone missing, left like a piece of paper with the name L.E. Moreland on it. And so she's like, I have to go find my friend. I think it's a little bit weird that like it starts with the wedding and then goes back in time and then we like build over the next couple chapters back to the wedding and then it's like
Mhm.
completely linear after that. Um, and I don't really know why. I don't really know what that helps really. Like from a just like constructionary standpoint, I don't really know why we would start with the wedding. As I guess it's like an attention grabber. Um, but I feel like it was I felt like it was more confusing than helpful because
Yeah.
it just like
Yeah.
puts you right in the middle of the action with a lot of stuff that you don't know yet and then immediately like retroactively explains everything. And I don't know if it really added very much for me. It's kind of like in I don't know, movies or TV shows where they like show you the middle and then they're like, I bet you're wondering how I got here. And then they bring you back to the
Yeah.
beginning and you have to like see that progression. But I feel like they usually do that. They would have done that like at the very end, like when things are climaxing. And then you have to work
Yeah.
your way up. Because now it's just like we start at like basically what is the start of the book, like which is the wedding. But we have to get the, oh fuck, what's the word? Um, what's the like the like premise but not that, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exposition. We have to get all the exposition,
Exposition.
yeah, we have to get like the premise is the wedding but then we have to get the exposition like over the first couple chapters when like I think reasonably like we could have just started with the wedding and like given that all in like her internal narration or like a flashback later.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
because like I just don't really, it just felt a little bit clunky to like start in the prologue, and then go back to her having a human job, and then go back to the vampire territory, and then go back to the wedding. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of wish we just they have the wedding,
They
and
had the
she
wedding.
comes down the aisle or whatever the fuck, and he makes a really weird face at her. And she's like, "Oh no, he's disgusted by me." But at this point, it was like very obvious that she was his mate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, he says like, "How is this possible?" or something. It's like very obvious what's happening, and like kind of immediately kills that tension for the remainder of the book. While she doesn't know that.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. That they like clearly, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, you're right. It was like very obvious from the get-go. No like hot and mysterious like era for him. He was just very like obvious.
He never had a hot and mysterious era, and
No,
that's so
literally.
true.
Because I think even with like I was thinking I don't know why this came to my mind, but I was thinking about his like name, like Low Moreland. And you know those that sounds like for example like in the olden times when they would write their men to be like mysterious, like Heathcliff and like Wuthering Heights or like Edward Rochester. It sounded like one of those names that was supposed to evoke like mystery and intrigue, but he was just like some guy. I felt.
Yeah. I don't know if I have anything more to say about their wedding. I didn't really. It was kind of a weird scene. I didn't feel super
Yeah.
grounded in it. Like, and
Yeah,
maybe part of that is because it was like split up between the prologue and whatever chapter we're in, but I didn't feel like super in the
I think it gets
moment.
better, but we'll get
I
into
do
that.
too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I think that like there's and they also don't really give you that much like new information after that. They kind of give you everything all at once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But she goes back to his house and meets his little sister. I forgot her name. Anna. I just wrote that she's really bad at the investigation so far. Like,
Yeah, no,
she
literally.
she doesn't really yield any results in the beginning. I I also felt like, and I don't know anything about childhood development, so I feel like I'm the wrong person to ask about this. But I felt like the child acted way younger than 7. I think
No,
she's
I agree.
I think that she's actually 6 maybe, and that she's like about to turn 7. But I thought that she
Yeah.
acted like 3 or 4. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I and maybe that's just like a dog years kind of thing. But that would make her
Oh, I didn't
older.
know that.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so too. I was very surprised to hear that she was like 6 or 7, and I was like, no, it's giving like 4 or 5.
she's investigating in his house, and she goes in his room and she looks at all his things. I would do this too if I was like
Yeah.
married into some random guy's family. I would absolutely go through his shit. Um, and she finds out that he's an artist, and he hides all his art in a locked drawer. Um, how did you feel about this? Did this endear you to him?
A little bit. Yeah, I think so. But again, I don't think it did much for his like hot and mysterious like persona. I mean, I think he just seemed like very sweet at that point. I feel like maybe they were trying to push like, oh, he's like so dark and broody and strong and this leader, but he also has like this gentle side to him. Like, I think they were trying to do that, but I don't know.
I definitely think so. Yeah, I agree. Because he's just so he's got this like tormented like artist,
Ooh,
um,
yeah.
broody bad boy, but he's like not even that bad. Like he's not even really some guy. I forgot their name and I didn't write it down. One of the other werewolf men tries to kidnap the child, but our girl stops him. And she like runs
Yeah.
out into the woods and stops him. Um, and there's this like big reveal that he's been like working for someone to kidnap the little girl Anna. Um, And so she gets this like I did like that Misery was like was very immediately like big sis to this little girl.
Yeah,
I thought that was
yeah.
sweet.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we find out that Anna's real name is Liliana Esther, and so Serena had actually written down her name whenever she went missing. And that like she's actually been like somehow looking for or aware of Anna rather than Lo. And we also learn that Anna is half human and half werewolf. Sorry, and half were, which they did not think was possible before this. So we get a lot of drama here.
That was a good one, I thought. Yeah, because I hadn't expected that. I mean, there was always like the way they like set it up, it seemed that her Anna's parents were this like big mystery. And then I thought that the payoff for that was pretty good. Like I didn't suspect it, but that could just be me.
But my like first instinct was that Serena was her mom. Like, was that
Mm.
like that was just my first assumption was like, oh, Serena's her mom, and like that's why she's looking for her.
Oh,
But that turned
yeah.
out to be completely wrong. So that was just like what where my brain went. Like she
Mm.
had the same mom as Lo. So and we find that
Yeah,
out like
yeah.
pretty immediately. So I knew I was wrong. Yeah. So we find out from this that interspecies relationships can procreate. Um, and then like Lo and Misery are gonna work together because now they both have to find Serena because she is involved with Anna somehow. So now they both want to know why she went missing. Which I thought was a good setup. Like them having to work together for a common goal. I thought that was a
Yeah.
pretty good way to bring them together. And because like we didn't really have that much interaction between them quite yet, like it wasn't really we weren't really building on a whole lot of tension just yet. I thought this was like pretty solid
Yeah,
setup.
yeah. I think it was a good excuse for them to like interact more.
I forgot what it is that she like can't do. It's like she can't like count to 10 or something. She like struggles with numbers or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, babe, what's going on?
No, the kids should be able to count.
They didn't have No Child Left Behind in Werewolf Dirt.
You was left behind.
Yeah, I don't know how we get to this next plot point, but I just wrote that like she it's because she ran out in the sun, I think, to like go get Anna. And she like
Oh,
lifts up
yeah, yeah,
her
yeah.
shirt a little bit and she's like, I got burned a little bit. And he just goes like, I have to leave immediately. He's just so turned on by the sight of her. He's like, oh my god. No, and I mean, again, it's very obvious that they are mates.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I part of me was just like, I wish they'd made it a little less obvious because I'm like, he's literally supposed to be this leader, and how can he get any work done if he's just gonna be distracted like that? And I think he even says it at some point, like later in the book. And I was like, like you gotta get your head in the game. Like, what is this?
I like have that phrase written in my notes already.
Really? It's so
It's
funny.
like you have to focus. It's a little bit, I feel like, up in the air, like what his responsibilities
Yeah,
even are.
yeah,
Like
you're right.
like how extensive his reach is, how many
Yeah,
people he has under his like or in his territory or whatever. Um, what their I don't know government system looks like. But who gives a fuck, right? So
yeah, yeah, literally. He's just a hot guy being hot. That's his only job.
precisely. Oh, he went to college in Zurich though, which I thought was so fun because I
Oh,
was like, we went to Zurich together.
we went to Zurich. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool.
I like looked through my phone to see if I could like put a picture of us in Zurich together, like put it up on the screen, but I look
Oh, that's
really
cute.
ugly in all of our pictures.
Yeah.
But he was an architect, which is fun, which is cute. Architect in
I thought
Zurich.
that was cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I do appreciate. I do think it gives us a little more context to his like artsy side too. It's not. It's like he
Yeah.
actually is like a creative person,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is nice. Yeah, love a man with a passion.
Yes. Yes.
um, I did think it was like a little bit weird. I forgot if there's a map in the front of this book or not, but I thought it was like a little bit confusing that there is like human territory, were territory, and vampire territory, and Europe. Like,
Yeah. 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 No,
and like
literally.
normal countries also exist. He's he's seducing her with his masculine wiles, and he's like, "Why do you hide your fangs?" I was like, be fucking serious. Like,
I know.
you
Be
know
so for real.
exactly why. Don't even piss me off being so stupid right
So
now.
for real.
Actually,
Like,
like, be
how are you
serious.
these lock in?
Lock in. This is not bunny. It's it's what we're saying is that like he just like needs to he's like focus every now and then. It's like you need to just like be logical and think every so
Yeah.
often. I was okay, so like as the story is going on, we're getting like her like a little bit more background about like her and Serena's life together and how like she was when she was the collateral with the humans like brought a human orphan girl in to like be her friend, and that was Serena. And so they've been friends since they were like itty bitty. Um, and I was picking up a little bit, like I was getting a little bit of a vibe
Mm.
from like her the way she talked about Serena. Um, I was like, this kind of gives gay.
No, no, a little bit, a little bit, I will have to say. Yeah.
I was just feeling like there was a lot of like emotional depth and like history in that relationship. And then by contrast, Lo is just a dude. He's
Yeah.
literally just a guy. And Serena, she
He's
talks
just
about
some
her
guy.
like Serena is like the only person I care about. Like I love her more than anybody. And like I'm so lost without her. I was like, then we're on a mission to get your wife back. I did think that like the way that they treated mates was kind of interesting though, because like he says that you're not expected to find your mate, like it's not something that you have to do, and that you can be like in a very productive and loving relationship with somebody who's not, and that like it's not like something that you have to do, like it's not an obligation or anything. Um, and it doesn't necessarily like mean that that relationship is going to be your best relationship. It's just like something that exists, and like most people don't get with their mate. So I thought that was interesting, and also the fact that like
Yeah.
it's not always reciprocal, like sometimes it's one-sided. I was like, dang, that's that's
Yeah.
sad. That's
I
kind of
know, it
rough.
was sad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really rough. But I thought that was really interesting. I feel like I haven't really, I don't read a whole lot of like soulmate stuff. It's not really my cup of tea. But I feel like I haven't really seen that concept where like it can be a one-way bond. Um,
Yeah. It was very realistic, I think. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and then you have to like bite them. Your mate. You have to
Yeah.
like give them like a mating bite or something. That part
Yeah.
I didn't like that much. Okay, so they go into like this enemy wolf woman's territory. And I
Yeah.
forgot her name, but it's
Emery?
Emery. Yes. And she was the mate of the alpha that he killed in order to like become the new one. But they also like kind of skirt around that. They like don't say that he killed him. They like he got challenged and like the other guy died. It's like
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
What was the mechanics of that? Because now I'm interesting. Like I'm interested. Do you
Yeah.
think that they have to like fight as wolves or do they fight as like men?
I think it's wolves, yeah. Because if it's like, I would think if it's just like all out, like challenging the alpha, I feel like they would have to turn to do that. Or no, sorry, shift.
Right.
Shift.
Get it right. But before they
Yeah.
can go to Emery's house, he's like, I have to like mark you. And so he like has
Yeah.
to has to like bite her like scent glands. Or like where the
Yeah.
scent glands are. I don't understand scent glands. You probably do.
Yeah. I think it was just like, or she doesn't have scent glands, but there's like pressure points, her neck and her like wrists. And I guess that's how it works with us too, because that's where you like apply perfume and stuff. So he's just like biting that. But yeah, I didn't fully understand that either.
Yeah. Okay, so he has to do that, and it's this very like intimate exchange. When they're like at Emery's house, they're having dinner, and she wants to go like put her spyware on their computer because she's a hacker. And I did like that she was a hacker. I love a girl boss in tech, a woman in STEM.
Yeah. Woman in STEM.
And so she like goes to put her like USB on their computer, and they tell everybody like, oh, she has to go drink blood now because she doesn't eat normal food. Um, so she has to go drink blood, and so the two of them leave to the computer room so she can do that. But then people are coming, and they have to cover up the fact that they're putting spyware on her computer. So she's like, you have to drink my blood.
And I thought that was so stupid. I was like, you could come up with any
Why?
other excuse.
So she bites him, and
Yeah.
it turns into this like very inappropriate exchange. Turned into a scene that I was a little bit embarrassed to be reading in public.
For sure.
And then she like immediately like calls her brother and tries to like talk to him about it, and he's like, I don't want to hear that.
So real for that.
Really, yeah, because why would you ever? Yeah, he's too real. I really like her brother actually. I think he's really
Yeah, me
funny.
too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Owen, just normal name.
Owen. Just
Owen.
normal Owen.
Okay, so then she eats she loves peanut butter. And so she's eating the peanut butter in their house, and she eats some peanut butter that's poisoned.
Poisoned.
Oh no. She like has to go to the hospital. Um and they think that the target was like maybe actually Anna, because like Misery isn't supposed to eat people food. Um but Anna is eats people food.
Yeah.
But she actually like really loves peanut butter. Here's the thing, is that I thought it was a little bit, I don't mind the fact that like she can eat people food and like that's fine. I don't really care about that. I think it's a little bit weird like what she knows about which societies, cuz like she talks about how like she basically knows like nothing about the vampires because she just like never lived with them really. Because as a kid she was with the humans, and as an adult she decided to go back and live with the humans. So she doesn't really know anything about vampire society. But she also like doesn't really know a whole lot about human society, which I thought was strange. Like she
Yeah.
doesn't know like what cooking utensils are and stuff. And it's like even if you
Yeah.
don't cook for yourself, you have seen Serena cook, you've watched human TV, like you should like osmosis a little bit of this knowledge, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
also she just like doesn't know shit about the wares, of course, because like she like I feel like that one's very justifiable that she doesn't know anything about that. But also like why wouldn't the vampires like send a little bit of like I don't know books or something with her whenever she went to live
Yeah.
with the humans in the first place? Um I don't know, so she just like somehow doesn't know anything about anything. And I that just
That
kind of
was
like
very weird.
yeah, it was just, I found it like a little bit frustrating that she just like actually was clueless like about like a lot of stuff.
Especially when her dad is some like big hotshot guy. Like he's the type like he's like this political guy, and you would expect like kids of those like figures to go to all these like fancy schools and be educated about like everything, but she just like doesn't know shit. Which is funny, like
You would think that he like
yeah.
if he could like I don't know like send a tutor or something with her like when she went to
Yeah.
live with the human or like I don't know, but like I feel like I don't know, it felt very like plot devicey that she like somehow doesn't know anything about vampires or werewolves, um because like obviously the audience also doesn't know anything about these things because they're not real.
Yeah.
So like we have basically the same knowledge as she does, but also like she doesn't really know anything about humans either. So it's just like I don't know. It felt a little contrived. Like the fact that she just like happens to not know anything that's relevant. I thought was a little. It just felt like a plot device, like a contrivance. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So she's in the hospital, and and there's a white wolf guarding her, and and she's like, is that you? And he like makes her go back in her room. um yeah, I don't know if you ever watched Game of Thrones, but there's like a big white wolf in that show, so I was just
Mhm.
imagining him the whole time.
Mm.
um because they say he's like bigger than a normal wolf. But he's just white. I think it's cute that he's a white wolf. It's very manic pixie dream girl. It's very like I don't know, like main character syndrome.
Yeah, no, literally,
he's like
literally.
he's just like a starving artist. Well, he's not a starving artist, but he's just like a like troubled artist from Europe,
Yeah.
and he just like came back heroically for his sister, and he
Yeah.
sexily killed the other guy, and he's just burdened by so many responsibilities. He's like happens to be this beautiful white wolf. It's like okay.
Okay, calm down.
Yeah. I don't know how I would feel about my partner being a wolf.
Yeah.
I think it's better than the like classic werewolf interpretation where they're like kind of a man and kind of a wolf, but they like stand on
Yeah,
two legs.
yeah,
I do think it's better than that.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, like half the day, like he's just gone, and being a wolf, like
Being a wolf, yeah. I guess like one of my small notes was that like there's a line in here somewhere about furries. And I thought it was like so horrifying and strange that like that exists in the
yes.
werewolf universe. Oh, wait, I think I forgot to write this part down. I think we might have already gone past it, but I forgot to write it. Is that like they go and meet up with Owen and Gabby, and like throughout the entire book,
Yeah.
she's assuming that Gabby is Lo's mate because he told
Yeah.
them that Gabby is Lo's mate. Because like whenever they were doing the like wife exchange, they were like it has to be someone related to the pack leader or like their and so they made the argument that like the mate is a comparable bond to like a family bond. But then like that's a lie and Gabby's not his mate. And so it's just
Yeah.
like she just like volunteered to do this. And I don't know like if I was just not paying enough attention or if I was just like being kind of silly. But like I found this like I really found like the part where like she confronts him about maids and like talks about Gabby. And then he's like, "Oh, I thought you knew that she wasn't my mate. Like I didn't realize you thought that she was I was like,
Yeah.
you basically said that she was, because
Yeah. Yeah. No,
like Misery
literally.
said like, oh, I like this is her, and you didn't. You did nothing to dissuade that line of thinking.
Yeah.
So like it was really like I just found it really like confusing and really
Yeah.
frustrated. He pissed me off so bad, um, that he
Yeah.
like then spun it around and was like, oh no, I don't know why you would think that. It's like because you said it.
Yeah. He was literally gaslighting her. Yeah, that was weird to me too. Yeah, because then I was like, oh, so maybe she is his mate, but his like mate changed now that he like is with Misery. But I was like, I don't know if that can even happen.
Yeah, because like when they were having that conversation, I like also thought that he was confirming that it was Gabby, and so like
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like I guess I was wrong and she's not his mate, or like that he somehow has to, or that like it's a different kind of bond, like because she's not a wolf or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but then like he just like really spun that around and was like, oh, that never happened, and you're crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know why you would think that. Sorry. It's just like because he like basically said that is what it was. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it was definitely a lie of omission. And like I don't know. I felt like he like purposely misled her in that scene and then like turned around
Yeah.
and was like, I never said that.
No, it literally gave like situationship. You know? Like he was leading her on and, charming her and all that. And they were doing all this stuff. And he's like, I don't know, just completely misleading her.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. That was weird to me. But Owen and Gabby, I guess, are together like in their like forced marriage, um, and they are chilling, and they're like, we're having a good time, and we're not falling in love with each other. So like, you should try it. um, and
Yeah.
I thought that that was kind of fun. I again
Yeah.
I like Owen. I thought that he was a fun addition. We're in the hospital. She's eating the poisoned peanut butter. Um, and oh, also like the first time she eats peanut butter is I don't know if it was just like the audiobook narrator at this time, but like grotesque description of the feeling of eating peanut butter.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
bitch, I've had peanut butter and I like peanut butter, but you are doing entirely too much. Like that is it is not that good.
PR for peanut butter, truly.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Big peanut butter is paying her to put this out. The
Yeah.
audiobook narrator was like moaning. I was like, you
Yeah.
actually
I
like
was
need to
like,
stop.
girl, please.
Girl, I'm at your front door. I need you to shut off the
It's
microphone.
hard for me to take it seriously because she liked peanut butter so much. I'm like, if it was any other thing, like, I don't know, like lobster or some other, like some dessert or whatever, but there's like peanut butter. I don't
No, she
understand
doesn't even
it.
have an expensive taste or anything. She's eating
Yeah.
Jiffy for $3 a $3 a jar. That it was like around this point in the book where well, maybe before this, he starts getting like very, very possessive of her. Um, in
Mm,
like a very extreme way. And he's talking about like the
yeah.
doctors who are like working on her because she was fucking dying. And
Yeah.
he's like, I hate letting other people touch you. It was so hard for me
Yes.
to
Oh
let
my
other
God.
people touch you. It's like they're medical professionals.
Yeah. Like be so for real. Again, like
This bitch is flatlining. Like,
Mm.
I get the like strong protective man like attraction, but it crossed a line, I think, whenever you're like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It was, yeah, no, it was very possessive. Yeah, for sure. And also thought, like, I mean, this just goes for like their relationship in general. Like, the buildup was like way too fast. or like there was not enough build up, rather. Like it was just like he's ignoring her. They're paired up and they're kind of like, okay, we're getting to know each other, and then it's just like almost fucking, and then this, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. No,
Which
I
I
felt the
found
exact
weird.
same
Yeah.
way. Yeah, I felt the
Yeah.
exact same way. Maybe I was just like I prefer a little bit more of a slow burn, but I felt like they switched it up like really fast, and I felt like they didn't
Yeah.
really have like that deep of an emotional connection before.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they weren't even really like talking that much before. Like they
Yeah.
didn't ever really
Yeah.
just like have a conversation, like sit with each other. It was
Yeah.
always like kind of pragmatic what they talked about, and then like they were just suddenly really into each other. And I kind of get it like
Yeah.
on his end because it is the like mating bond, but on her end and like
Right.
it's her perspective that we're in, so like she should be our deeper like emotional like insight. I like wasn't feeling it from her, and I didn't really understand like
Yeah.
why she like flipped up so fast on him.
Yeah. I think it made the like kind of enemies to lovers, kind of like forced marriage trope like less compelling because of that. Yeah, because the no like little to no emotional connection, and then it's just like so like sexual that it kind of took away from all the things that come with the tropes.
I would have really enjoyed seeing like more um build up to their romance, seeing them just like talk. I don't know.
Yeah, have a normal conversation.
Yeah, and I feel like my issue with, or maybe one of the reasons that I don't really like a soulmate, like trope that often is because it kind of like to me, in my perception, undercuts a little bit of the romance of it by making it something that is intrinsic and something that cannot be like
Mm,
overcome. It just feels a little more forced and a little less like a developing connection. And and so like I think that this book had an opportunity to really work with that, where the mate bond is not necessarily romantic and is not necessarily reciprocated. So you do have this cosmic thing that like brings them together and that says that they should be together, but they also do have to develop that emotional relationship, and they have to develop something that is like rooted in romance, especially because she also doesn't have that reciprocal bond. But it just really felt very sudden, and also going into that is just that it feels a little bit, I felt like it was a little bit too physical, their connection. It
yeah,
was a
I
lot of
agree.
like lust and not as much
Yes,
romance as I would have liked.
yes. No, that's exactly how I felt too. Yeah, almost like I think everything, I could be wrong, but almost everything to me it seemed that he complimented about her was like a physical thing, or like how she made him like feel physically and not any like personality traits.
Oh, I
Yeah.
wrote a question for you in my notes.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was Shrav, what color would you want your wolf to be?
Ooh, how fun. I actually have been thinking about that.
I knew it.
I think I think the white is too much for me. It's just like, yeah, because it's just like, I mean, it's like everyday things, and then this like really bright white wolf that's like doing too much. I think like a nice like German Shepherd coloring would be fun. Like a brownish kind of black, not like fully black either, but just like a brownish black with some like interesting eyes. Like one eye could be one color and the other one could be a different one.
That would be
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
What
I think I would
do you
want to be
think? What
like
do you
a
think?
silvery gray. Like
Ooh, that's a good one.
yeah, like husky colors. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very classic. But I also really hate those icy blue eyes that huskies have. I think they're so
Yeah,
scary. So I'd want them
they're
to be
really
a normal
scary.
color. Okay. Oh, ew, ew. I wrote down something that was really yucky.
Oh
It was
no.
that he says like Oh, she goes out and she's talking to some of the other wolves, and one of them tells her, "Gravity, I don't know if I can do it."
You could do it. You could do it.
he tells her, he tells her, "You smell like my alpha marked you."
Basically calling a fucking whore.
Oh,
That I thought that was
actually,
crazy.
a lot of the wolf aspects of it were the things that I didn't like and that I found a bit cringy. So maybe it's just not my genre, you know? Maybe it's just really
Yeah,
not for me.
yeah. No, I get that. I feel like for me, what the sex scenes were almost like too graphic, which kind of took away from like the allure of them. Because I think if there's like a little bit of mystery and it's like left up to the reader, as someone who read Wattpad and three,
Someone
you
who knows a
know,
little thing or two about.
no, no kidding. But I think there's something like, yeah, like I was saying, if it's like not fully like fleshed out as it was in this book, I think it's more fun for the reader. That's just my thought.
She asks Lo, she goes to Lo, and she says, like, am I actually your mate? Is your mate actually me? And he says, and I paraphrased here, shut the fuck up, and you have abandonment issues, and that's why you're asking me this, so you should probably go fuck off because that's a you problem. I thought this was crazy that he was his
Sure
dad.
was.
Also because it's true. Like,
Great.
she is his
Yeah,
dad. She's right.
yeah,
And he was like,
yeah,
it's probably because you've had abandonment issues your whole life and like your dad sent you away and you don't have anybody who loves you that you think this. And I know you want me to be your
yeah.
man. It's like,
Whoa.
hey, dude. Whoa.
Yeah, that shit was insane. Yeah, and that was the part that gave like situationship to me. Yeah, where you have this like intense connection and you feel like, you're really connecting with this person and then this bitch just hits you with, no, I like fucking you, but actually, no.
Anyway, she gets kidnapped by Mick, and then she wakes up and Serena is there, and I thought this was very. I like the red herring of Emery that she's not the one responsible for this. And it's a setup, and she's actually just like normal. So I thought that was good, but the fact that she just like Misery just like stumbles into the correct answer and doesn't actually figure out the mystery. It just like happens that she gets like caught up in she like is where Serena is. I thought was not I didn't like that because it's just like
Yeah.
she's been spending this whole book like trying to find Serena, and I
Yeah.
thought it would have been so much more interesting if we actually saw her solve the mystery and like figure it
Yeah.
out and realize that the big reveal is that like her dad is behind it, and have to come
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
realization by herself, based on like clues. And I don't know. I thought that would have been really interesting to see. But yeah, she wakes up and she's with Serena and they break out immediately. It's just like
Yeah.
with comical speed. Serena's been there for like months. She's
Yeah. No, yeah. She's marking on her walls like how many months she's
she's
been, and then
telling her
Misery,
wall like
she's
a
there,
prisoner.
and then they're just out.
They break out in probably 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's the lamest, most cliched escape plan ever, where they're like, oh no, Misery is sick, you have to help, you have to open the door, and then like, grab him, and they I forgot what they do. She uses her vampire
Yeah.
powers on him, I think. And they switch out and they lock him in. And it's like, girl, how long have you been
Yeah.
here? Yeah, it would have been really cool to see her and Lo work together and have to like I think it would have been so good if we just saw them, late at night working together, figuring things
Oh,
out
yes.
together. He's like putting on a pot, oh my god. He's putting on a pot of coffee. She's drinking coffee for the first time. They're getting to know each other while she's doing her hacking and
Yes.
I don't know, he's doing something. Maybe he's using his wolf senses or some shit
Yeah.
to help her. Um, I don't know. It would have been really cool to see them kind of Sherlock Holmes and Watson it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then we could have seen them build their relationship very naturally just by the fact that they have to spend so
Yeah.
much time together because they're working together. Um, and just naturally form this bond and go out to explore together and learn things. And maybe like because he's an architect, he maybe knows something about because one of the things is that she's in this building that the vampires built and like that's vampire territory and all that. So like um maybe they find a clue about something about where Serena is and he's able to figure out that it has to be within this building because of certain I don't know materials or dimensions or whatever.
Yeah.
um and that he's able to figure that out because he knows about buildings. I don't know, I didn't write the book. I think that there is a plot there somewhere where those two skills can come together. um
Yes. Yes.
yeah, because I don't know. I think that would have been really cool. And it's kind of sad that she just happened to wake up in the exact right place and figure everything out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, it seemed like she was thinking about all this for so long, and we only just get her like wanting to find Serena, and we don't really see the investigation being like advanced in any way, and it's just like drawn out, and then they just give everything to us, and like at the very end.
Yeah, because I feel like
Yeah.
if they had gone to Emery maybe earlier or something, and then she realized that there was nothing there and that they needed to pivot because it's not Emery, like that, then they
Yeah.
could have actually like developed the investigation and just figured it out and sleuthed it out together. Um, I think that would have been really cool, but we really don't see very much of the actual investigation. We see just like a couple things, and most of it is not really relevant to the investigation.
Yeah.
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 Um, but we do get a lot of her wanting to get Serena back and like wanting to see Serena again, how much she loves Serena. It's like you got to put in the hours, girl.
Yeah.
We got to do some work. They find out that it's her dad. This is the big plot twist. Her evil dad is even more evil than we thought. Um,
Yeah, he's so
he's
evil.
so evil.
Yeah. Like, damn.
Yeah, he's so evil. He's so crazy. Um, and then we get this really. I wrote down Scooby Doo villain monologue where at the very end they burst out and they say, "Oh my god, it's her dad. He's the culprit." And then he explains his entire plan for like pages. He just like tells us
Yeah.
everything and why he did it and what he's been doing and how this all ties together. And that's what we should have learned throughout the book to like see their
Yeah.
investigation progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we wouldn't have to get it
Exactly.
all at once at the very end. But we find out in that monologue that Serena is also half were, half human. Yeah,
Yeah.
which I did think was good. That was
Yeah.
pretty good. Um,
That was pretty good.
yeah. I thought this made sense. I thought it was a good plot twist. I did think that it's a little bit. I don't totally believe that no one in all of history ever has ever like fucked a were.
Yeah, like in a
This
world
is
where
the
furries
first
exist.
time. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. The fact that furries
Yeah.
exist only proves this point. I have a hard time believing that Serena and Anna are the first ever hybrids, and that
Yeah.
there's never been any experimentation with that, because people like throughout history, like humans get with like everyone. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the reason we have STDs.
Yeah.
Isn't there some story
No,
about
literally.
like Christopher Columbus fucking a manatee or something?
Really?
I don't
That's
know. It
crazy.
would be a pretty
I
harsh
would not put it
allegation.
past him though. Yeah.
It's
Sorry to
believable,
the
right?
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. With how
Yeah.
horrible of a man he was.
I
Yeah.
mean, what's one more thing? Yeah.
Right?
This would not be, this would not break top 10 worst things he's done. There's this whole kind of plot line about how vampires have a very low birth rate and humans have a very high birth rate, and I guess werewolves are like somewhere in the middle. Um, and
Yeah.
I was thinking that the solution to the dad's problem isn't to kill the hybrids, it's to start fucking the
Yeah.
humans.
Yeah. No, literally. Like, what is he on?
Right. So I was kind of expecting her brother to be evil at the end. I was
Me
okay.
too. Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Once they realized that they
Yeah.
were in the vampire territory, I was like, oh god.
Oh no,
Oh shit,
Owen.
Owen. But he
Yeah.
wasn't, which is good.
But he wasn't. Slay.
It would be kind of fun if he was,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm glad that he wasn't. They all like start attacking her dad and all his men and women. Some of them are women. And
Yeah.
Serena turns into a wolf, and that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
So, okay, girl boss.
Slay.
Slay. But then they don't kill her dad in that fight. They just they
Yeah.
just kill all the rest of them.
Yeah.
Might as well have. And they ask
Might
her
as
if they
well.
right. And they might as they ask her like if she wants them to kill him, and she says, "Surprise me." She says like, "Don't tell me."
Yeah. I thought that was so funny that she did that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, girl. Um but there's also this part where they're talking about the person who's gonna take over the like being vampire, I forgot what it's called, the head of the vampire council or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever her
Yeah.
dad's position was. And she says like, "Owen, that's gonna be you," and he says, "Or you," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Okay.
is our girl boss gonna girl boss her way to the top?"
Yeah. I think that could have been really powerful because then she would have been the head of vampires and he would
Mm-hmm.
have been the head of like wares.
Yeah,
And it's like,
could have
yeah,
brought
yeah.
communities together. Could have
Yes, exactly.
undone generations of hatred.
Yes. Yes.
Really unified the people. But she doesn't, right? It's like
Yeah, she
not,
doesn't.
yeah. Um so we have to continue with the fantasy racism, I guess. She decides that she's gonna stay with Lo. Um and then they have one of the most graphic sex
I was I was a little taken aback. Yeah. Yeah, and it felt like even in the end, after they'd been through all this, like there wasn't that much of an emotional connection. Like it wasn't like, oh, we finally get to be together and, like we're mates and I love you so much and all that. It just like was sex.
I
Yeah.
do think that's a little bit telling of their relationship. It's not that we end with a real wedding and they're professing their
Yeah.
love for each other or
Yeah.
anything, which I think would have been a really beautiful way to end it if they had an actual wedding ceremony that they were really into at the very end.
Yeah.
It's no, they fuck. they just
They
like
fuck.
they just like go at it at the end.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of how it ends. Is this just like really graphic scene? This scene in particular, I just I didn't really like the language. I wasn't into because of just kind of the language of it. Um
Yeah. Yeah.
just really kind of kind of aggressive, but that's not necessarily the problem. I think it's that just like he kept saying like you're my mate, you're mine, you're my mate. Like
Yeah.
I was just like that's too much, it's too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. It's too
And
much.
yeah, and then also the idea of like the thing that his
The
body
nod.
does.
The nod thing. Yeah. The nod. That
Yeah.
was crazy.
um and they just have to like sit like that for a while afterwards. I was like, it's gonna get awkward.
What would you rate this book?
Oh, I think I did already rate it on Goodreads, but I forgot what I
Oh, okay,
said.
okay.
I think I said like, okay, for me, the scale is like one is really, really bad.
Hmm.
Five is incredible. 2.5 is indifferent. Um,
Mm.
so I think that I'm kind of indifferent on this.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly less than indifferent. I think I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads. Um,
Yeah.
and that just kind of comes from the fact that the world building was not all the way there. Um, that I thought the fact that the mystery was resolved kind of in this almost like Deus Ex Machina kind of way, where it
Yeah.
just happened to resolve rather than her actively reaching the conclusion was kind of brought to her. And that
Yeah.
I didn't think the romance was very strong um, as far as their emotional connection. That's my justification for my rating. But there were a lot of things that I liked about the book too. I think that Misery is a fun main character overall, even though she is very millennial. I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
she's a woman in STEM. She's a hacker. She's very smart, and she kind of knows what she wants. So I think those are good qualities to have as a romantic lead. I liked her relationship with Anna and Serena and some of the other guys in the Wolf clan. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so
I
there were
liked the friendships. Yeah.
yeah. I liked Owen. So there were a lot of things that I did like. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. I think I would also rate it a two, because yeah, like the pacing just felt off. I think there were like a lot of elements, and they had the potential to make this like a really good book, but yeah, the romance was just like not fully there. The mystery was not mysterying. And it also kind of put like I wasn't able to take it super seriously. And we kind of talked about this when we were first reading it. The fact that this like vampire were romance was set in the modern world, that kind of took away from the fantasy of it for me.
Yeah, I don't think I really
Yeah.
like the whole modern vampire as much. I feel like so much of the
Yeah.
allure of a vampire is the centuries old, gothic
Yeah.
castle and the candelabras and outfits. That's to me, that's so much of what makes vampires so fun and so
Yeah.
like mysterious and dark, is that vibe, that energy that they bring. And so this very, because her dad's facility is very very corporate, very very
Yeah.
modern.
Yes.
um I don't know, kind of Apple Store vibes.
Yeah, that's what I got too. Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's just not what I
yeah.
want from a vampire clan.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I would be willing to read a different Allie Hazelwood book
Me
someday.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
People say
she's
that. Oh no, no. I was just gonna say, yeah. People like her, like, because she herself is a woman in STEM. So she writes about like other women in STEM, and the people seem to like that a lot. Yeah.
I've seen her like book covers for her other books. And they seem fun. You know,
Yeah.
I would give those a shot, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um Writing a fantasy romance is such a tall order. When
Yeah.
it's kind of low fantasy, like it kind of takes place in the real world, but also you're adding so many fantasy elements to it that it's not completely recognizable as the real world. Um, and I feel like the actual fantasy elements were some of the weakest parts of the book. Um, so I would definitely be more inclined to read her contemporary romances next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, but anyway, well, thank you for reading this book with me. I hope you had a
Of
fun time.
course. Thank you for having me on. I had a really good time reading this book. Yeah,
I'm
it was
glad.
pretty fun to
Yeah.
read.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did think it was fun to read. Even all my
Yeah.
criticisms, I thought that it was a fun time. I'm gonna end the
Yeah.
recording now. So,
All right.
all right.